Now I'm 49 years old, but I can do way more handstand push-ups than you can. Now, why can I do more repetitions than you? Yes, I've got really good handstand balance, but when it comes to the handstand push-up, I've also got really good technique in terms of shifting the body weight in the right place at the right time. And that's what I'm going to go through today. I'm going to teach you how to get more reps with your handstand push-ups by putting the body in the right place at the right time. What you could see there when I was doing those handstand push-ups is I was doing that. As I come down in the movement, I go towards underbalance, just enough, not too much so my feet are falling down. And then when I go to the overbalance on the way back up on the concentric, that helps me up. So it's like I'm falling up back into the handstand instead of staying backwards. Watch exactly the same movement if I stay backwards and see how much harder it is. So same start position, but now as I come down, my feet are backwards and then they stay there. See this? See how now I'm struggling to get the repetition? Watch the same thing now. See how it nearly took me up and over the top. So that over the top feeling is what's going to give me more repetitions and make them much, much easier. And that's why the crow to handstand or frog up to handstand is actually a really good exercise, because it teaches you that rolling up. The same principles apply. There, if I went over, it was easy. If I stayed back, watch this. See how much harder that is just by staying back in the underbalanced position. If I do the same thing, but go overbalanced, so to the back, rolling up, it's much, much easier. Now, before we start playing with that, we still need to have that basics down. So we need to have great handstand balance. I need to be able to hold that middle position here, be able to go between underbalance and overbalance in the freestanding position with control. If you can't do that, I'd highly recommend that you're working those back to wall movements. So like this, heel pull to shoulders coming forwards, shoulders coming back to the wall. So I'm doing that same thing there. And the toe pull, chest to wall version. These are handstand drills everyone should be doing and everyone has been doing for years to make their handstand strong. So there's the toe pull, but notice how much the shoulders are involved in that rebalancing, that moving back and forth. So if you can't do those very well, practice those. Use that as part of your warm-up and then replicate those same type of movements, rebalances in the freestanding handstand. Make sure your pike push-ups are very, very strong so you can come down, touch your forehead and come back again. 4 repetitions. See how easy that is? Again, I'm using that forward movement, back movement. So there's some technique involved there, but I can just bang out lots of reps. And if you can't do that, make sure you can bang out lots of reps of dips. If you can't do dips, make sure you can bang out lots of reps of push-ups. So it might mean going back, filling some of those gaps. If you're not strong enough, you're not going to be able to do handstand push-ups. But it's not just strength, it's that skill and that's balance on top of that as well. So those basics are very, very important. Let's call them the foundations. But what we don't want to get caught up is too much strength. So you don't need to have super strong weighted dips. That's something else. It's really cool to have calisthenic strong weighted dips, but that's not necessarily going to make you stronger at handstand push-ups. Where you want to be spending your time if you want to become an expert at the handstand push-up is in the skill of the handstand push-up itself, as long as you have that foundation strength. And I mentioned how important that crow to handstand is. If you can't do the crow to handstand, you need to work on the eccentric movement. So freestanding position, again, making sure you're nice and controlled there. Then I'm going to tuck or frog the legs down, roll through the back, bend the arms, come down, find my frog or crow position. If you can't do that with any type of control, we need to use some sort of support. And that could either be back to wall or chest to wall. So I'm in this position here, have a little balance at the top, make sure that feels okay. Walk down the wall as much as you need to, light toes though, and then down into your crow or frog position. I could do the same back to wall. There, make sure you get your balance. And then there, frog, crow, bend the arms, find the position, come back up. And I break all the skills down in way more detail in my app. So if you're interested in that, links are down in the description. Then when it comes to the handstand push-up itself, we need to make sure that we can do slow eccentrics of that. Again, ideally freestanding. So hold, show control, have that open and closed shoulder rebalance. And then from here, look, shoulders come forward slightly, arms bend slightly, feet come back, slowly come down with control. Ideally, I'll be able to pause at any point, touch the forehead to the floor, hold, come back out. Then ideally we'll be able to change direction and go back up on that concentric. If we can't do either of those, we might need to again use the wall. We can go back to wall and we can go chest to wall. Now I'd recommend from a strength point of view, we're working the chest to wall repetitions. So where we're in this position, like so, and then we're gonna slide down the wall and touch. Ideally, get back up. I could slide my toes, but I'll take my nails off. So if you're using a smooth floor and socks, you can slide up and down. If not, down, and then walk your feet or float your feet back up. I'll do that for strength for the handstand push-up, but as soon as possible, we actually want to turn around and go back to wall so we can learn that overbalance concentric that's going to make it much easier to initially get a rep or to get more repetitions. So ideally, to get that overbalance technique, we're going to go back to wall. And we can do back to wall reps like this. So we're going to have 1 foot on the wall. Now the reason we only go 1 foot on the wall is if I go 2, I'm going to tend to banana the position. If I go 1, I can keep this leg, this straight leg, more in the position that we want it for the final piece. So bottom and then back up. I can do that nice and slowly and catch at the top. And that's going to allow me to understand that handstand push-up technique for this particular drill, which then we can modify slightly to get that overbalance and underbalance that's going to be similar to the freestanding version. Now the way we do that is that we kick up first, we pull from the wall, we do an eccentric down. Now when I go back up, I go to the wall. See, my back foot touches the wall. So eccentric, off the wall, back to the wall on the concentric to get myself back up. So I'm sort of purposely falling back towards the wall on that concentric. And then I'll start to feel where that sweet spot is, where I'm falling this way as I push, which helps me up. And with a bit of practice, you'll really start to feel that it's going to make things easier to the point where you might be able to start to hold a conversation on a repetition, where before you was at max. And then depending on your level, as soon as possible, I'd be supersetting that with the freestanding attempts. So with the freestanding attempts, we want exactly the same technique. So we're going to come down, take the feet backwards a little bit, so nice and clean on the way down, but as I come back up, I maybe arch the body a little bit, making sure I correct that and get back into a straight position at the top, or I just tip the body over towards that concentric or towards that overbalance. So I'm coming down, tipping the body over. So I'm riding that overbalance that's going to help me out. And most people will tend to want to go to more of a banana position to start with. But remember what I just said, when you get to the top, make sure you reset the position into your straight handstand, and then you'll be ready for your next repetition. If you don't do that and you create a banana position, so if I create a banana position with the eccentric, then I use that on the way back up for my concentric. Now look at this start position for the next rep. I'll start to collapse even more. So now my position's getting really bad at the top. So each rep, it's going to like compound that and make it worse and worse and worse until I collapse and fall. So when I'm actually trying to use the overbalance, I'm collapsing instead of rolling towards it. So try as best you can to reset the position after every repetition. Now it doesn't just have to be the crow to handstand or the handstand push-up that uses that overbalance to help you. Another variation is to do that pike press, bent arm pike press entry. So it looks like, it's just like a pike push-up as you come down, and then you flick the legs up and see how that rides you up. You have to be careful with that one because it does really flick at the top. You can try and slow it down a little bit, but it has the same effect, that we're using that overbalance to help us up. So I come down, up, over, and then it helps me out. It like kicks me into the handstand. But notice there that I stopped it just in time and then pushed out and held the handstand at the top. So that should help you on your journey towards either your first handstand push-up or to give you more repetitions of the handstand push-up you already have. Just be realistic and understand where your limitations are or where your gaps are and try and fill them. If you're after help with your training, check out my links down below for online coaching and my app. If you're after a health tracking device, check out the Ultra Human Ring. Again, details are down below and you can get yourself 10% off. Let me know down in the comments where you are with your handstand push-up journey, and I'll speak to you guys in the next one.